A retired LAPD detective says he has solved the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur, who was gunned down in Las Vegas nearly 20 years ago. Detective Greg Kading says he has proof it was Sean Diddy Combs.
For 3 whole decades, he ruled hip-hop videos like a boss, untouchable, unstoppable, while chaos exploded all around him. But that silence, it's done. The truth is spilling out, and it's darker than anyone ever imagined. Leaked footage from inside Diddy's hotel suite, filmed just days before his arrest, shows him losing control, screaming about dirty lawyers, and watching his empire crumble to pieces. But that's not even the wildest part. New bombshell claims say Diddy didn't just know about the murders of Tupac and Biggie. He might have made Biggie pay for his own funeral. Can you believe that? It's September 2024, and we're inside New York City's ultra-luxurious Park Hyatt Hotel. The suite looks like something out of a billionaire's dream. Designer furniture, spotless decor, the heavy scent of expensive cologne filling the air. But this time, there's no party, no lights, no girls, no celebration. Just Sean Diddy Combs, his sons Justin and Christian, and a small camera crew he personally hired. He thought he was filming his big comeback. Instead, he was capturing the collapse of everything he built.
Got hit with hit 'em up. I had to make the call to Biggie, and I said, we're not gonna respond. Somebody's gonna get hurt if we respond. Tupac hit us with hit 'em up, and that joint was cold.
How did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
If Sean Combs.
The leaked Netflix doc Sean Combs, The Reckoning, shows a version of Diddy no one was ever supposed to witness. He's pacing like a caged animal, his face tight with fear. Over and over, he glances out the massive window, peeking through the curtains. And there they are. Police cars. Officers posted outside, watching, waiting. You can almost feel his heart racing. He spins around, barking orders at his videographer. Get cutaway shots of him. He's still trying to control the scene, still trying to make himself the director of his own downfall. He wants to look like a man under attack, a victim of power, but the camera doesn't lie. What it captures is pure panic. Then suddenly, the phone rings. The sound cuts through the tension like a blade. Diddy freezes, then slowly lifts the phone. It's his legal team calling, and this is the moment everything changes. His voice isn't the smooth, confident tone we're used to hearing on those hit records. It's shaking, trembling, high-pitched with fear. You can hear the panic bursting through every word. He screams into the phone, "We're losing." Can you even wrap your head around that?
So, I do believe so. I have proved things that I could say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows. So every time he say it didn't happen, or that's the only thing that makes this become an issue to everybody. I was acting, who gets shot 5 times and acts?
The man who spent decades calling himself unstoppable, the man who built a billion-dollar empire off being a winner, is finally cracking before the cuffs even touch his wrists. But it gets way darker. Instead of calling a top lawyer or some civil rights expert, he asks for a fixer. He says straight up, "We need someone who's worked in the dirtiest of dirty businesses," repeating it like he's summoning something wicked. What does that even mean? Is he talking about covering evidence, paying people off, maybe silencing witnesses? Whatever it is, he knows the feds are closing in, and he's not looking for justice. He's looking for someone dirty enough to clean up his own mess. Then comes the strangest twist. The video shows him just stop mid-breakdown. His eyes go wide, lost, confused. He looks around the room and mutters, "God told me to do nothing, so I gotta do what God told me to do." Just moments ago, he was begging for someone to fight dirty, and now he's claiming divine orders to stay still. The switch is wild, like his mind is splitting under the weight of everything crashing down around him. This footage was never meant to be seen. Not by Netflix, not by anyone.
He set up the atmosphere to bring that type of behavior that led to those.
I've seen an interview that Puffy did with Fat Joe where he was talking about Biggie in his last moments in LA. And he told Fat Joe that he didn't want to go to LA. He actually wanted to go to London. But Biggie, he was the one that wanted to go to LA, and he was the one that was pushing to go to LA.
That's not true.
That decision put us in the worst situation that we could have.
Diddy's team swears it was stolen from his private collection, but now the world has heard the truth in his own voice. The fear, the guilt, the madness. And to really understand why he's so terrified today, we gotta rewind to where it all began. The night that flipped the entire hip-hop world upside down. It's November 30th, 1994. The place? Quad Recording Studios in Times Square, Manhattan. The heart of the music game. Tupac Shakur walks in, riding high as one of the biggest names in the world, both a movie star and a rap legend in his prime. He's there to lay down a verse for a young artist named Little Sean, a rapper linked to Diddy. But before Tupac can even reach the booth, the unthinkable happens. 3 men are waiting in the lobby, armed and ready. They rush him. Shots explode, fists fly, chaos erupts. Tupac gets hit 5 times, 5 bullets, and the men snatch his jewelry before taking off. It's brutal, cold-blooded, and fast. Lying there, bleeding and dazed, Tupac plays dead just to survive the attack. Somehow he drags himself into the elevator, every movement soaked in pain, every breath a struggle. When the elevator doors finally slide open upstairs, he stumbles into the studio, blood still dripping. And who's standing there? Diddy, the man who Circle Tupac thought he could trust. That moment, that sight, changed everything. The music world would never be the same again. Tupac steps out of that elevator, bleeding, furious, barely holding on. And what does he see? The notorious B.I.G. standing there, Andre Harrell right beside him. These were supposed to be his people, his friends. But when Tupac later talked about that moment, the way he described it sent chills down spines everywhere. He said he expected them to rush over, to be shocked, to help him. Instead, nothing. Just blank faces staring back at him. Cold, silent, emotionless. He said it felt like they were surprised he was still breathing. That silence cut deeper than any bullet ever could.
For his own funeral. But the fact that Biggie literally was going to be on the cover of Rolling Stone and Diddy made the call to pull Biggie's cover and have him as the replacement so he can promote his album is literally sick. Diddy is not doing enough time, you guys. I said it once and I'm gonna say it again. Biggie should still be here. Biggie should still be here. The fact that that man did not want to Tupac or even the West Coast when it was West Coast versus East.
Right there in that elevator, staring straight at Diddy's face, Tupac made up his mind. Bad Boy Records had set him up. The betrayal hit hard, and soon after, things exploded in the music world. Not long after the attack, Biggie dropped "Who Shot Ya?" Diddy and Biggie swore it had been recorded before the shooting, but the timing, way too perfect. Tupac took it as a message, a straight-up confession disguised as a song. And from that point on, it wasn't just a rivalry, it was war. But the question that still haunts hip-hop, was this just lyrical beef, or was there real money behind the bloodshed? That's where the new documentary drops its biggest bombshell yet, the so-called $1 Million Bounty. Enter Dwayne Davis, better known on the streets as Keith D, a name whispered in every serious conversation about West Coast gang life. He wasn't just another guy. He was a major figure in the Southside Compton Crips. And according to him, Diddy wasn't just tangled in the drama. He was the one pulling strings from behind the scenes. The documentary breaks down a secret meeting, not in a fancy studio, not in some corporate office, but inside Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset Boulevard, right there in Los Angeles. Imagine it, a regular afternoon, people munching on pastrami sandwiches, no clue that in one corner booth, one of the most powerful men in music was allegedly cutting a deal with a known gang leader. Keith D says Diddy came to that meeting scared, paranoid, and desperate for protection. He felt Los Angeles turning against him, especially with Death Row Records breathing down his neck. He wanted backup, and the Southside Crips were the muscle he thought could keep him safe. But then, according to Keith D, the conversation took a dark, twisted turn. Diddy allegedly leaned in and said, "I got a couple of problems I need handled." The problems he mentioned? Big CEO, meaning Suge Knight, the feared head of Death Row, and Pac, meaning Tupac Shakur himself. Then, Diddy allegedly dropped a number so big it shook the table, $1 million. Keith D claims Diddy straight up offered $1 million bounty for both Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur. If that's true, it wasn't just rap beef anymore. It was business, blood, and betrayal all mixed into one. The line between music and murder had officially been crossed. Think about that for a second. Really think about it. If what Keith D says is true, then the East Coast versus West Coast war wasn't about pride or lyrics anymore. It was about money. It was business dressed up as beef, a full-blown paid hit dressed in hip-hop. That's not rivalry. That's a contract killing. Diddy has denied this story for years, calling it flat-out ridiculous, but Keith D, he's never changed his story. And remember, this isn't just some random rumor. Keith D is the man police finally charged with Tupac's murder back in 2023 for that infamous night in Vegas. And here's where the question hits hard. Did Diddy actually get what he paid for? Let's rewind to September 7th, 1996. Las Vegas. Tupac's in town, shining as always, there to see Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand. The crowd's buzzing, cameras flashing, everything feels electric. But inside that same casino, everything changes in seconds. Tupac spots Orlando Anderson, Keith D's own nephew, and chaos breaks loose. Tupac lunges, swinging, kicking, stomping, all caught on surveillance cameras. That moment of rage would end up sealing his fate. Just hours later, Tupac's cruising down the Vegas Strip in a black BMW 750 IL with Suge Knight behind the wheel. The city lights are glowing, music blasting. Everything feels like another wild night in the life of a rap superstar. But at the intersection of East Flamingo Road and Koval Lane, everything stops, literally. A white Cadillac slides up beside them, the back window rolls down, an arm stretches out. And then, 4 shots ring out from a Glock 22. Tupac's hit, 4 times. Suge Knight is covered in blood, trying to swerve to safety. As Tupac fights for his life in a Vegas hospital, the documentary drops another chilling claim. Diddy was allegedly on the phone that same night. Keith D says his phone rang just after the shooting. He picked up, and it was Diddy calling from New York. And what Diddy supposedly said will make your stomach turn. He didn't ask, "Is Pac okay?" He didn't even ask, "Is Suge alive?" According to Keith D, Diddy simply said 2 words. "Is that us?" Those words say it all. He wasn't checking on anyone's safety. He was confirming whether the hit went down as planned. Keith D says he replied, "Yes. If this call really happened, that's the smoking gun." It means Diddy wasn't just aware. He was checking in to make sure the job was done. It paints him as the mastermind behind one of the darkest moments in music history. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, the story takes a heartbreaking turn. Fast forward to March 1997. Tupac's gone. 6 months have passed, and tension in the streets is boiling over. Everyone in the industry knows Los Angeles is a danger zone for bad boy records. The West Coast wants revenge, real revenge. But somehow, Diddy still decides to take his best friend, Biggie Smalls, straight into the heart of the fire. Gene Deal, Diddy's bodyguard back then, says what happened next still haunts him. He tells the story of Biggie's final days and the choices that led him right into the crosshairs. The way he tells it will leave you furious. Gene Deal swears Biggie was never supposed to be in Los Angeles that weekend. He had a ticket booked, bags packed, and a plan to fly straight to London, England. He was set to cross the ocean, promote his album in Europe, and stay far away from the chaos brewing in the streets of LA. He would have been safe, thousands of miles away from gang wars and revenge plots. But then, according to Gene and others close to the camp, Diddy stepped in and changed everything. Kirk Burroughs, Bad Boy Records co-founder, claims Diddy pressured Biggie to cancel that London flight. He says Diddy wanted to make a statement to prove that Bad Boy Records wasn't scared of anybody, not even Death Row. He wanted to party right on enemy turf to show the world that the East Coast could still walk strong in the West. Burroughs says Biggie didn't want to go. He wasn't feeling it. But Sean talked him into it, convinced him to attend the shows, the parties, the events. At the time, Biggie was still recovering from a broken leg, walking with a cane, moving slow, vulnerable. But he trusted his friend. He believed Diddy had his back. So he canceled the London trip and stayed in LA, a decision that would end up costing him everything. Now let's rewind the clock. March 9th, 1997. The night etched forever into hip-hop history. The party's going down at the Peterson Automotive Museum, hosted by Vibe magazine. Inside, the vibe is electric. The DJ's spinning Biggie's brand new track, Hypnotize. The crowd's vibing, bottles of Dom Perignon are popping, and Biggie's smiling, soaking it all in. For a moment, he feels unstoppable, like the king of New York in the city of angels. But outside, the mood's shifting. The fire marshal shuts the party down early. Too many people inside, overcrowded, tension rising. Suddenly, hundreds pour out into the streets. The air's thick with noise and confusion. Gene Deal, Biggie's bodyguard, is scanning every face. And that's when he spots something that still haunts him to this day. Near the exit stands a man who doesn't fit in with the chaos. He's not dressed like a gangbanger. No red, no blue. He's in a clean blue suit and a bow tie, looking like a member of the Nation of Islam. But something about his body language is off. He's not mingling. He's watching, staring, calculating. Gene says the man's eyes never left the group. He got a bad feeling, a real bad feeling. Gene says he went to Diddy and warned him about the suspicious man, but the warning got brushed off as the entourage kept it moving. They had a formation plan for security. Diddy in the lead vehicle, Biggie following right behind. But this is where the whispers began. The question people still ask, was Biggie sacrificed? The convoy pulls out. Diddy jumps into the lead SUV, a Suburban packed with bodyguards. Biggie climbs into the second car, a dark GMC Suburban, riding up front in the passenger seat, the most exposed spot. They roll through the city, lights flashing, still riding the high of the party. Then it happens. Diddy's SUV speeds through an intersection just as the light turns yellow. He makes it through clean, but Biggie's car gets stuck behind at the red light, right on the corner of Wilshire Boulevard and South Fairfax Avenue. The traffic halts. The night goes still. For a few seconds, Biggie's SUV just sits there, a massive target that can't move. And then, out of the shadows, a dark Chevy Impala SS slides up beside them. The window rolls down slow. Biggie's completely exposed. The setup is perfect and deadly. The window slides down, and there he is, the man in the blue suit and bow tie. He locks eyes with Biggie, calm, cold, and focused. No hesitation. He lifts a 9mm blue steel pistol, takes aim, and fires 4 times. This wasn't a random spray of bullets. Every shot was deliberate. One hits Biggie's arm, another rips into his back, a third slams into his thigh, but the fourth, the fatal one, tears through his right hip, cutting through his colon, liver, and heart before stopping. It's over in seconds. Suge Knight's SUV makes a hard U-turn, racing through the streets towards Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. The sirens, the shouting, the chaos, but it's already too late. At 1:15 a.m., the world loses the king of New York. Biggie Smalls is gone. Then comes the question that still haunts hip-hop today. Why did Diddy's car leave Biggie behind? Why was security so loose when everyone knew the streets were hot and danger was real? And why, of all places, were they even still in Los Angeles when Biggie could have been safe in London? None of it makes sense, unless someone wanted that night to play out exactly as it did. But the betrayal didn't stop with the gunshots. What came after Biggie's death might just be colder than the murder itself. The funeral bill scandal. Everyone remembers that funeral. Brooklyn came to a standstill that day. Thousands filled the streets, chanting Biggie's name, crying, blasting his music from car stereos. It was a city in mourning. At the center of it all stood Diddy, dressed in a flawless black suit, walking slow with a cane, looking heartbroken. He dropped "I'll Be Missing You," the tribute song that went global overnight, cementing him as the grieving brother, the loyal friend, the man who lost it all. But according to Kirk Burroughs, co-founder of Bad Boy Records, that image was just another performance. Burroughs says Diddy had made a big promise at first. "We're gonna do the biggest funeral New York has ever seen for Biggie." It sounded touching, powerful, and generous. But once the bills from Frankie Campbell Funeral Chapel started rolling in, Burroughs claims Diddy's attitude suddenly changed. The prices were high, extravagant even, and Diddy allegedly said, "We're gonna do the biggest funeral, but Biggie's gonna have to pay for this funeral." Let that sink in. The allegation is that Diddy classified the funeral as a recoupable expense, a term from the music industry that means any cost the label covers gets charged back to the artist's account. In simple terms, the label fronts the money, but the artist, or in this case their estate, pays it back before a single dollar of profit is seen. So if Burrow's story is true, Diddy didn't pay for Biggie's funeral himself. He allegedly billed it to Biggie's estate, pulling the money straight out of what was meant for Biggie's kids and his mother. Valletta Wallace. Can you even imagine? Your best friend dies in a war you might have helped spark, and then you charge his grieving mother for the hearse and the flowers. That's beyond cold. That's heartless. In the documentary, Burroughs doesn't hold back. Sean's doing a big show. Looks good on him, he says. But he's not going to tell the world that Biggie was paying for it. Those words hit hard, especially when you think about everything that came before. The danger, the pressure, the loyalty that ended in betrayal. Now, to be fair, Biggie's estate manager, Wayne Barrow, has since spoken up in Diddy's defense, saying those claims aren't true. But for many fans and insiders, the doubt lingers. Was it grief or guilt that made Diddy play the part of the broken man in that black suit? Wayne Barrow insists he checked every receipt, every bill, and says Biggie's estate was never charged for the funeral. But just the accusation alone has blown up the internet. It fits too neatly into the picture so many already see. A man who turns every tragedy, every headline, into a business opportunity. From the freak-offs to the fortune, it's all part of the same disturbing pattern. Because while the murders of Tupac and Biggie remain hip-hop's deepest scars, the new documentary dives into something even darker. The crimes that finally landed Diddy behind bars in 2025. And this time, there's no hiding behind lawyers or PR teams. The world saw it all. The story starts with the freak-offs. For years, the whispers floated around. Tales of wild parties, blurred lines, and excess beyond imagination. But when federal agents raided Diddy's mansions in Miami and Los Angeles in March 2024, they uncovered something that sounded too bizarre to believe: over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. When reporters pressed for answers, Diddy's lawyer, Mark Aglow, tried to spin it into a joke. He said, "Diddy has a big house and buys in bulk from Costco. Have you ever been to a Costco? But come on, 1,000 bottles? That's not bulk shopping. That's industrial supply levels." The documentary explains exactly what those bottles were for, the so-called freak-offs. According to investigators and witnesses, these weren't just private parties. They were twisted, drug-fueled performances that could stretch on for days. Witnesses described scenes that sounded more like something out of a crime file than a party, with Diddy allegedly using his power to pressure women and male sex workers into participating. They said he used drugs like ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB to keep people in a haze, compliant and silent. He would sit and watch, sometimes film, and keep those recordings as blackmail to make sure no one ever exposed him. And then came the proof the world couldn't ignore: the infamous 2016 hotel video. The footage showed Diddy in nothing but a towel, chasing his then-girlfriend Cassie Ventura down a hotel hallway. He grabbed her by the neck, slammed her to the ground, and kicked her while she tried to crawl away. For years, he denied ever laying a hand on her. But that video didn't lie. It showed a side of him the world had only heard whispers about: a predator in plain sight. Even worse, the documentary alleges Diddy paid off the hotel's security staff, reportedly dropping $50,000 in cash to buy that footage and bury it for good. And it worked. For nearly 8 years, that clip was hidden, locked away, until it finally surfaced and shattered the image he'd spent decades building. The mask was gone. The world saw the truth. By 2025, Diddy was standing before a jury, facing federal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. The courtroom was packed, cameras flashing, reporters everywhere. Everyone expected the verdict to end his life in freedom. If found guilty on all counts, he'd die in prison. No question. But then came the shocker: the split verdict. The jury found him guilty of transportation for prostitution on 2 counts, but not guilty on the most serious charges like sex trafficking and racketeering. The reaction was instant: disbelief, outrage, confusion. How could someone painted as this monstrous figure walk away without the harshest conviction? The documentary takes us inside that jury room, interviewing two of the jurors themselves. Their explanation? It's as strange as it is revealing. They said the evidence was chaotic, full of contradictions. One juror even said, "You can't clap with one hand," hinting that while Diddy was clearly guilty of something, the bigger system around him, the enablers, the money, the power, shared the blame too. The verdict might have spared him a life sentence, but it didn't clear his name. The world had already made up its mind, and the image of the king of bad boy was never coming back. Juror 75, a man whose vote shocked a lot of people, explained why he chose not guilty on the trafficking charge involving Cassie. In his eyes, what he saw wasn't a crime of force, it was what he called a toxic romance. He used a strange metaphor that had everyone talking. It's like both hands clapping together. You can't clap with one hand. He said because Cassie stayed with Diddy, and because there were affectionate texts between them after the abuse, he didn't see it as trafficking. He said it looked like a luxury lifestyle she chose. But then came juror 160, a woman who saw things differently, but still ended up at the same verdict. She said the hotel hallway video, the one where Diddy attacked Cassie, was unforgivable. Her exact words were, "You can't beat that small girl like that." Still, she voted not guilty on the trafficking charge. Why? Because, as she explained, domestic violence wasn't one of the charges listed in the trial. She said they had to follow the strict letter of the law, not emotion. They believed Diddy was violent, maybe even dangerous, but the evidence didn't legally prove trafficking. So, the outcome? Diddy was sentenced to 50 months, a little over 4 years. Many people felt that was a slap on the wrist compared to what the world had just learned about him. But as the documentary says, the reckoning isn't just about the courtroom, it's about the court of public opinion. And out here, there's no reasonable doubt left. The verdict was already written by the public long before the jury spoke. At About the Man Who Once Called Her Family says everything you need to know. Now Diddy's finally speaking, through leaked tapes, frantic phone calls, and desperate words. But it's far too late. The lights are out, the champagne's flat, the music stopped. If you were hooked by this story, don't just scroll. Like, share, and drop a comment below. Tell us what you think about The Reckoning. And don't forget to subscribe for more explosive stories and behind-the-scenes breakdowns of hip-hop's darkest secrets.